up, everybody? Thanks for joining us again in another episode of Raw-Thentic Recap. It's just going to be solo dolo one take again. Chubbs got stuck at work, so it's going to be kind of a remotely quick episode, just a recap from yours untruly. Yeah, that's right. So, again, Raw from Monday night, June 12th. They were in the Cajun Dome in Lafayette, Louisiana. Let's see. We'll start at the beginning. So they started out. They just did a quick recap of the Samoa Joe and Paul Heyman segment from last week, which was obviously just a lead-in to Brock and Paul coming to the ring. I don't know if people noticed, but Brock Lesnar was wearing some weird championship belt. It was really strange. I don't know if we've seen this one before. Waka Waka has been off TV for 2.5 months. Idiots. Anyways, they come down to the ring. Then Paul basically starts berating Joe and saying that he was a coward for attacking Paul. Doing what Paul Heyman does. Great promo. And then obviously it's cut short by Joe coming out. He comes face to face with Brock, and they go at it. They start fighting. Then they have some refs come out, and I think they had some refs come out initially, or maybe it was just one or two refs came out. But either way, Kurt Angle was at the top of the ramp, and he sent out some security, I say in quotation, because it's just the performance center guys or jobbers. Sends a whole bunch of them out. Obviously, a whole bunch. There's like 4 or 5 of them, maybe 6. All of them get housed separately by Joe and Brock. So they're going back at it, and then cut to it shows Kurt again basically yelling for help. So the whole locker room comes out, the actual wrestlers, and they're trying to break them apart. And Joe, they're fighting to get away. Joe got a good old super kick off. I think he got Brock a little bit in the face, but it also looked like Bo got the brunt of it, because it looked like he got kicked square right in the mouth. Either way, they're fighting. They're tangled up. They get out of the ring, all tangled up, going after each other. Basically, as Chubb said, I'll try to interject as much as I remember from what him and I talked about during stuff. But like Chubb said, is sorry, got sidetracked. Is that he basically just cut back to 2015 with his feud with The Undertaker. Same exact thing, except it got split apart and stayed split apart, opposed to it trickling into the backstage area and lasting longer. We both felt like it could have had a little bit more, done a little bit different to it. I mean, it makes sense story-wise to have it the way it was, especially with how it worked with Samoa Joe last week. I was thinking that what they could have done is had it so, Brock was in the ring, Paul was in the ring, Paul's obviously berating, talking down Joe, and Joe doesn't show up, and Brock's like, really? Come to find out, he was, just in transit. Maybe you find out later. So Brock, being pissed off that Joe's not there, decides he's going to take it out on everybody, a la, Brock Lesnar wanting more competition type deal. So maybe have like a match or something that didn't necessarily matter. I'm going to say a cruiserweight match, even though I like the cruiserweights, but the way the way the main roster, the way Raw is treating the cruiserweights is kind of just pushing to the side anyway. So in line with that, I basically say, Brock's pissed, so he interrupts a cruiserweight match and obviously just starts suplexing everyone, and it's basically saying he's going to destroy everyone, and basically just to show Samoa Joe. And then obviously from him doing that, he gets kicked out. Kurt Angle's like, we can't have you here, hurting all of our wrestlers because you're mad at one person, so you're out. And come to find out, the only reason Joe wasn't there is he was in transit. So he comes to find out that Brock was kicked out, and like maybe he sees the footage or something like that. Then he's pissed off and he comes out or maybe he's just pissed off and save it for another week. Then the next week, same thing, where it's like Joe, but he's Coquina clutching everybody instead, so he gets kicked out. Either way, just they could have had it progress where they didn't have the face-to-face this quick, because they got a couple weeks to fill, and where are they going to go from here? They're just going to let them fight each week and not actually have a match and have them separated? I don't know. Either way, it was the most exciting part of the episode, the way they did it as is, but it's just beating a dead horse like WWE likes to do. So after that, we had Elias Samson was in the ring singing a song, basically about Ambrose. Ambrose interrupted him, so we already knew they had a match. It was Dean versus Elias Samson. Miz came out to distract, and he didn't actually, he distracted. He didn't actually touch or do anything to Dean, but distracted him enough where Elias Samson got the upper hand and got the win. After that, we had a Gold Dust segment, another one of his gold, 24 karat gold productions, whatever. Still pretty good, production-wise, or, not production-wise, delivery-wise. I wish it was going to be leading somewhere more badass, opposed to just probably one-off match against R-Truth. And just because this one happened, I'll say now, R-Truth had one almost at the end of the show, towards the very, very end of the show. Finally not dropping the same movie quotes as he was every other one, so that's great. Then we had Kurt Angle, The Miz was walking backstage, and Kurt Angle chased him down, yelling at him, like, what are you doing? And The Miz basically said, well, I had to do something since, you're the general manager that did nothing to stop Dean from wrecking my celebration because you were too preoccupied with your own personal stuff. Miz is great. They should just change his name to the Truth Teller, because that's all he's basically been doing since, for a while, but especially since the John Cena feud. And this is where Kurt was contradicting himself. He was all, well, you can't be interrupting matches, and then when the Miz is like, well, I got to do something since you're not blah blah blah, and he's like, fine, do whatever you want. If you need to basically take it out on him. It's like, so you're yelling at him for doing something, and then you're telling him to do it anyways. It was dumb. Then they had a short Cedric Alexander video package, because he's recently been back from injury. And then they had a Noam Dar was on FaceTime with Alicia Fox, and Cedric came back basically to the backstage as well to tell Noam that he was done with them and sick of even having to deal with them. And after their match that was coming up next, that was the end of it. They were done. And obviously cut to Cedric comes to the ring. It might have had a commercial break, not that that matters. But he comes to the ring, and then Noam Dar comes to the ring, still on the phone, FaceTime with Alicia Fox, but they put her up on the Jumbotron so everyone could see it, and they piped in the audio, which was just obnoxious. I don't know if it was pre-taped or they actually worked it out so it was live footage, but Alicia Fox has gotten a little bit better in the ring the last couple matches I saw, especially with Sasha, but voice-wise, she's really, really annoying. So having her really, really loud piped audio into a stadium is just obnoxious. So either way, Noam Dar comes to the ring. He is still talking to Alicia, and he's trying to say, like, I have the match, and she's all, don't hang up on me, because apparently she hurt her neck on 205 Live. I didn't watch the 205 Live last week, so I don't know, but I'm guessing. Either way, she was nursing a neck injury, and she basically wanted Noam to dote on her even though he had a match. I don't know, it was kind of poorly done as far as, like, making no legitimate sense besides just making Alicia Fox come off as a psycho, which she may be in real life, who knows. But anyways, the ref was basically trying to tell Noam to get off the phone, and it was funny because Noam was, like, using his hand saying, like, you're talking, you're in my ear, the ref's in my ear, ah! So he sets the phone down. He says, I'm not hanging up, I'm just setting the phone down. So he sets the phone down, takes off his coat. As he goes to throw it out of the ring, the ref rings the bell, turns around. He gets I don't remember what Cedric's finisher is called, but it's basically just a throw up in the air backbreaker. Lumbar check, I think is what it's called. Ends the match. That was it. Then after that, we had a Roman Reigns video announcement where he said he's going to announce his plans for SummerSlam next week. Which, when I first saw it, I'm a Roman fan. When I first saw it, I was like, really? Why? That makes no sense. And then I was like, oh, it's because he's not on TV or not having a match and not going to have a segment, so they got to find a way to have him on TV. And they ended up showing it twice throughout the show, which is whatever. WWE likes to repeat stuff. After that, we had a Bray Wyatt promo. Typical Bray Wyatt, where his words are great and it ends up not working out in the ring because WWE is a bunch of idiots. I also noticed at the end of his promo, when it does its weird little cut thing and whatnot. Randy Orton was in it this week, and he hasn't been, so I don't know what the hell I don't know if that was an error or whatnot. But either way, he comes to the ring, does more of a promo, and this time he's talking about Seth Rollins, because if you don't remember last week, he basically said all the other 4 guys that were in the Fatal 5-Way at Extreme Rules made him, or took his opportunity away from him, so he's going to individually make them all pay. So obviously this week was Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins ends up coming out. They go back and forth. It was actually a good back and forth between them. And then Seth basically says, well, let's go at it. You're talking all this, let's fight. And Bray's more like, hey, we fight on my terms, bro. Obviously not like that, but you get the gist. And then it went dark, like it normally does. Lights come back on. Bray's gone. Seth's looking all over the place. It goes dark again, like really, really quick. And the lights back on really, really quick. And Bray's on the Jumbotron. I don't remember what he said then, but that was the end of that. Just a whole bunch of talking that leads to nothing. After that, there was a Hardy Boys backstage interview. Just them talking about, obviously, the tag team champion belts and Cesaro and Sheamus. And after that, we had a John Cena video promo for his return, which he's returning to SmackDown on July 4th, but on the video package at the top it said free agent. So speculation is that since ratings are so low, they're going to have John Cena be able to appear on Raw and SmackDown as a free agent. Undecided how I feel about that. I like John Cena, but not enough for him to be on both shows when they could do it better ways. Alright, and then after that, we had Apollo versus Kalisto again. This time we had Akira Tozawa ringside. Basically, I think it was earlier in the show, or no, maybe it was just right then. They said that Titus pulled some strings, basically to use his power to get ringside seats for Tozawa, which, I mean, Tozawa's already part of the roster. Duh, not hard. It's not like he's not on the roster and employed there. But either way, it was a remotely quick match between Apollo and Kalisto. Apollo actually won this one, so it means if they have a match next week, they'll probably freaking lose because they got no idea what the hell they're doing. Funny part, though, was that Titus was all excited, obviously, that Apollo won. Apollo was excited, obviously trying to sell the Titus brand, be excited about it. So Titus goes over to Akira Tozawa and picks him up like a child, basically, and pulls him up over the barricade and then into the ring. And they're just, obviously, since Tozawa's so small and Apollo's muscular, I mean, he's only about 6 feet, they say, so he's probably about 5'10". But Tozawa's tiny. So they're basically just manhandling him, and just the look on his face was hilarious. And then after that, it cuts to showing Rhino putting his spray, cheese on crackers, and pans out, and him and Heath are standing there. I don't know if you could actually hear what they were talking about, but then you cut to Miz coming up to them, and he's basically looking for people to help protect him and be part of his entourage since Dean's gone unhinged, basically. And he says to Heath, basically, hey, I got you in the Marine 5. I think it was Marine 5. There could be a million of them. I don't remember. I made you a superstar. All you gotta do is say the word, and I can do it in the WWE as well. And it starts with you being part of my entourage. And Rhino's like, "Whoa, bro, he's already got a tag team partner." And Miz basically blows off Rhino and acts like he doesn't matter. Rhino gets more pissed off and basically says, "Hey, I'm gonna go talk to Kurt. We're gonna have a tag match tonight since you can't shut your pie hole." Basically, that's not what he said, but just of it. Excuse me. Then after that, Alexa came to the ring. She had a promo. Nia Jax interrupted her, and then Mickey and Dana interrupted them, and then Emma interrupted them, and then Sasha interrupted all of them. But it started out with Alexa basically just saying that she wasn't, even given the celebration she felt she should have, but she was the goddess of the women's division, blah-de, blah-de, blah-de. And then Nia Jax basically said, "Hey, you said you were going to give me a shot at the title. You didn't," even though she did. And Alexa was like, "Hey, how are you going to blame me for the way it ended? I got attacked, and we could have had a classic match that was interrupted by Mickey and Dana, and that's why they came down." And then Emma making her, TV, re-TV. I'm trying to think how to word it. She came back, all right? She did a live show the other day or a couple days or so ago, but she came back to TV. She came out and said, I should get a chance at that belt because everyone knows I deserve it, or it belongs on me, or whatever. And then Sasha came out, and she didn't really say too much, and she just ended up driving the mic into Alexa's face, and then fight started out. And holla, 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 tag team match, playa. So it turned into a faces versus heel match, and then it ended up being the heels one, and Emma, fresh off from injury, ended up having to tap out from the bank statement, which at first I was like, really? But then I was looking at everyone that they had in the match, and on the heels, obviously, Sasha wasn't going to tap out Nia, because that would have completely downplayed what they're doing with Nia. Couldn't tap out Alexa because she took off when Emma tried to get a tag, and she was just like, "No, I'm done with you. You guys don't like me. I don't like you. I'm not helping." So she went to the top of the ring and looked all pouty while basically the rest of the women were just staring at her. So, it's her against them all type scenario look. After that, they had a Finn video where I'm trying to remember what it was about. I don't know if he still is, but he was in Japan doing a part of the tour, like a tour type deal for WWE. I don't know if that's why he hasn't been on TV the last 2 weeks, because I don't know if he's back or not. And then after that, there was a Corey Graves interview with Bayley. WWE needs to get their heads out of their ass and figure out what they're doing with Bayley, because there's no way. Actually, I shouldn't say there's no way. I can't fathom what they're doing with her making any sense to how they can think that she's being relatable. She's just coming off awkward, uncomfortable, and very unrelatable to the masses. And it just makes no sense. The only thing that would have made this interview worse, in my opinion, because she basically said, I'm here to wrestle. I wrote down in my, my dream book, notebook, whatever the hell she called it, that she wanted to be the best women's wrestler ever, and she still believes that, and she's here to do that. She's not there to, beat people up and be mean. She knows she can't win by hugs. Blah, frickin' blah. So how does she end the segment? Asking Corey Graves if she can have a hug, which was an awkward hug at best. So the only thing that would have made it even more ridiculous is if her dad showed up in the back, was like, "All right, Corey, the interview's over with." Something stupid like that, because it was awful, and they're just making her look like a complete imbecile as far as I'm concerned. And then after that, we had Heath and Rhino, or were they already in the ring? It doesn't matter. Either way, they came to the ring, and then The Miz came down. Again, a Miz match where you don't know who his tag team partner's going to be. So you think he's going to start the match, and then this weird music hits, and it ends up being a bear on a tricycle. And if you don't remember, there was a bear last week that he thought was Dean, that it wasn't, so his tag team partner was going to be the bear. Obviously, Dean thought that bear, or not Dean, The Miz thought the bear was Dean. They did a better job this week of at least putting the guy that was in the bear suit be a little bit bigger, so you could think it might have been Dean, because last week's the guy was way too small and you knew it wasn't Dean, like almost right off. So either way, The Miz took the brunt of the match, and then he ended up getting close to the corner, and the bear tagged himself in. He came in and kind of swatted at Heath a little bit, and then Miz ended up getting back in the ring. Stuff transpired. I don't really remember because it was just a gimmick match to fill time. Then the Miz basically decided to unmask the bear, so he beat the bear up, was out of the ring, pulled its mask off, and it was some other dude. It wasn't Dean, so he goes back in the ring, and what happened? And then I'm trying to remember. He went in and got the upper hand on Heath somehow, and then what you don't see is Dean came running out from the ring. I'm sorry, brain farting. Like the announcers area where the bell rings and stuff. Dean came out from like that area, but nobody could really see it. I almost thought he was under the ring. He comes into the ring with mask on in the bear suit, so you don't actually know it's him, but you know it's him. And he's just kind of standing there, and I don't remember why Miz didn't see him. Maurice was up on the apron, trying to distract the help, and then the Miz was talking to her, and then she happened to notice Dean because Dean took the mask off, the bear mask off. Long story short, ended up bumping Maurice. Miz trying to run away from Dean, basically bumped Maurice off from the apron. She went running off angry because she was still angry at the Miz from last week from breaking her present and whatnot, which was actually played really, really well. I'm just hoping that I'm hoping they work it as like they just are, she's just mad at him and it messes up matches and stuff, opposed to breaking them apart, because I do think that they're a good duo together and play off well, and it's a good combination. But either way, Dean ends up hitting Dirty Deeds on Miz, pulls Heath onto him, and Heath and Rhino get the win. I don't know why the ref didn't see this stuff. I don't remember. I tuned out a lot of it because it seemed like a hodgepodge show. It was kind of boring. Let's see. After that, we had... they did a WrestleMania tag recap, basically on just showing the Hardys coming back, and then the whole feud between Sheamus and Cesaro. And then there's supposed to be a match between Rich Swann and Neville. You come back from commercial, Rich Swann's coming out, or not coming out, his music hits and he comes out. Neville is already in the ring. So your Cruiserweight champion gets a dark entrance, and you wonder why the Cruiserweight Championship isn't getting the views on the network. Like, you're making your champion not even seem important. Even though what happened was Rich Swann came out, match didn't even start, Neville just housed Rich Swann and basically said nobody was on his level. And had a nice little promo afterwards that was great, because Neville is great as a heel right now. Or I shouldn't say right now, in general. So that match didn't even happen. And he basically said, because there was a tweet that Titus O'Neil put out earlier in the day saying that he was pulled his strings to get the tickets ringside for Tozawa for the match, and basically trying to entice him into being part of the Titus brand, and he'll also be the next Cruiserweight champion. So obviously Neville took exception to that and basically called out Tozawa, who didn't come out. He didn't call him out. He basically just said, you know, you have to be on my level and I'm after you, basically. After that, we had a, oh wow, reading hard. After that, we had a Cesaro and Sheamus interview, and basically just atypical them, what they've been saying since they've been full both heels. Set the bar, we are the bar, we have the belts, we win. And then we had, after that, there was a match between Enzo and Cass versus the club, the Good Brother Skis. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Luke and Carl were already in the ring. Enzo and Cass's music hit. They don't come out. Big surprise. Cut to the backstage. And Cass is laid out again. Refs come running over. Enzo comes running over. Oh, man, you okay? Camera angle just right. It's kind of low to the ground. And then you can see in the background the Revival are just, like, walking. It didn't look like they, like, were leaving the scene of the crime. It just looked like they were walking by, which I'm hoping is the case, because I'd really love for the WWE to surprise us and not just keep showing the Revival, so we're like, oh, it's them, and then it is. Because that's just dumb. We need some surprises. So either way, the refs and Enzo are trying to help Cass up. He's having a hard time getting up, and he says to Enzo, I got punched once. I got one hit, and I was down. So either way, you go back to the ring, the club is in there, and they basically just do a quick promo, laughing at Enzo and Cass and saying that's 2 weeks in a row they were supposed to have matches with them, and they couldn't even get there because a little bump ski. And then Carl did what he calls his too bad laugh, Chad too bad laugh, where it's just like an obnoxious outward laugh. It was hilarious. I really wish those guys got more freedom and more mic time. Hilarious. Then Enzo and Cass's music hits again. Enzo's coming out. Cass is kind of behind him with the refs trying to tell him not to go to the match, and Cass is just waving him off. So the match starts. Cass starts. He started out looking like he was, hampered by it, and then he was doing well. And then he got taken out, and he got the tag on hot tag to Enzo. As Enzo was in and Cass was out, he had like one leg in, one leg out. Carl went and took him out and knocked him out of the ring. So they had a 2-on-1 advantage against Enzo, basically. Beat the crap out of him. Cass couldn't get back in the ring. He really played the effects of being taken out earlier well, mostly. And then Carl and Luke did their finisher on Enzo to win. And then I can't remember if they did it a second time or when they went to do it a second time, the Big Show came out to save Enzo. And then Cass finally got up on the apron and saw Enzo like thanking Big Show, and Cass just looked all bee-booey and sad, like, oh, I'm a big guy too, I need love. Didn't make a whole bunch of, or I shouldn't say it didn't make sense, it's just they're making it really childish. Let's see, then after that, you had the Big Show walking in the backstage, and Enzo came up to him and basically just said, hey, just for peace of mind, can tell me that it's not you, because he's like, Cass is a big dude, and he said he got hit once. He got punched once and was knocked out by a knockout type punch. And of course, Big Show, pissed off, just like, really, bro? He's like, I don't, why? He's like, it sounds like you don't need a peace of mind. It sounds like your partner's just making you try to get information for him, blah, blah, blah. And the Big Show called Cass swift. So, I mean, that could be leading to Big Show putting Cass over. So Cass looks like a beast going to the singles road, sort of like he did for Braun. Then after that, we had our main event, which was the Hardys and Sheamus and Cesaro in a 3 falls match. And once I saw how much time was left in the show, I was like, this is going to be a quick match. Oh, and there was also, before that, Samoa Joe had an interview. I don't even remember what the interview was about, to tell you the truth. I thought I was going to remember better. But either way, had that interview. And then, yeah, we had a best 2 out of 3 falls for with the Hardys and Sheamus and Cesaro. Sheamus got the first fall kind of quick. It was like 2 minutes in. He got a brogue kick on Jeff, I think. And then, obviously, stuff transpired. Matt ended up getting the second one because Jeff was distracting Cesaro outside of the ring. And then, I mean, the match was decent. It was just, for a main event, it was rushed and short and could have been more. I know it was going to lead to more, but either way, so the third fall ended up, all 4 of them ended up outside the ring, and they got counted out, so it was a double count out for the third fall, which I wish the WWE would make up their mind what they want to do for rules. I know it's all scripted and whatnot, but you still need some cognuit. It needs to make sense is what I'm getting at. Because it's just like sometimes they'll have a guy in the corner, and once they hit the corner, they're like, get out of the corner, get out. And then they start counting. And then there's other times where they know it's supposed to lead into, all right, they're supposed to get on the top rope and turn into a superplex or some move, and they don't count. So it's like they need to find a way to find a happy medium. Like, even have the refs just not throughout the night, but just in that match, have a couple spots where the guys go into the corner, and the ref is like, get out of the corner, and gives them a little bit more leeway, and maybe make it so you can hear the refs, like either turn the mic up just when the ref's talking that time and be like, get out of the corner, I'm not going to keep telling you guys, I'm only giving you leniency this one time, stuff like that. Just little things. It just drives me nuts. I say that because the way this match ended, it was like they were outside the ring, and normally the refs will just be like, get in the ring, get it in the ring, but then there's miscellaneous times where they're just like, they're outside the ring for a half a second. They're like, all right, start counting. And they're like, oh, I know it's going to be a count out since they're telling what they're going to do. So that's all we got for this show. It's probably kind of boring, me doing this by myself and whatnot. I also didn't say at the beginning, I'll say now, but it was on the screen anyways. We're at Facebook, on Facebook and Instagram, it's at na.podcast919, and then our Twitter is na_podcast919. We're trying to do a better job of being a little bit more social on Twitter, trying to put more polls up and stuff. I think we got one up there now. Actually, I know we do. I'm just spacing out what it is. We'll probably have another one up later today, or at least later in the week, for Money in the Bank. That's all I got. Look for the Smack That recap. Will be out after this one, and then depending on time, well, we'll get it done. Hopefully we'll get it done and up, depending on Chubb's schedule for the weekend. But we'll do a predictions episode where I'm gonna go based on not being spiteful in my choices, because I got none right in Extreme Rules because I was trying to be different. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to go realistic, yo. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, especially the like and share, because that helps all our videos show up. Also, we do know that the recording comes through as mono instead of stereo. We're having a software driver issue that we can't figure out, and we don't have the money to get any new equipment yet, because the one that we use for our mics is kind of old. So we think that's what the issue is. But we do know. That's why when you hear both of us, like, I'm probably coming through in your right ear, and when Chubbs is here, he comes through in the left. So we do know about it. We apologize for now, but we're working with what we can right now. So either way, get those likes so our videos are shown and whatnot. Comment some stuff. You got some ideas, some, you like this, you don't like that, things you'd like us to talk about for wrestling stuff, anything in general. Comment that stuff. Okay, bye.